club, the Lioness Lions, did come to a resolution with the Michigan Center Lions
Great.
on their rent.
Okay, well, that's good. I know.
And she did tell me that at the fall conference.
Right. Yeah, I think I heard that too at the cabinet meeting. She mentioned that, so I was glad to hear that, because that was obviously that's a difficult thing to try to navigate. So,
well, and it appeared to me that if anyone was going to negotiate on the Lioness Lions behalf, it probably should be a guy, because the Michigan Centered Lions are
I don't say anything bad.
are a group of men that seems to be sticks in the mud.
They don't like change. They don't like change.
No.
So that's as many do not like change. Well, I want to try to keep these pretty informal, and really, just kind of talk about questions that anybody has. I realize that Debbie and Mike didn't have the benefit of going through a formalized training session. Like I think B has been to one, and Anita, you went to one, and I think Jim went to one of them anyway, the last couple of years. And so I tried to, my intention was to send out the recordings of the better one, which actually was the first one, to Mike and to everybody, really, just as a review, and especially to Mike and Debbie, and any other things that come up that have to do with zone chair training, because just like any job in Lions, I mean, there's way more than you ever imagine, involved, and you keep learning more things as you go along in it. So I think anybody in their first year as being a zone chair pretty much is sort of like treading water and swimming and trying to figure out which direction to go. And I don't know if that's how you feel, Mike, but
about being afraid of it, just wanting to know more,
Right.
And that training that I did the webinar, and that was very good.
Yeah, good.
Gave me a lot of information. I know that.
Good. Well, if you have the time to sit down and listen for 2 hours to that recording that I sent you earlier on, you'll get a lot of information as well. Plus, we have a deck that we kind of follow, which has it's a PowerPoint deck, and the first hour, it was basic, kind of like the basic zone chair information that you might have gotten through that webinar, and then the second one was a little more targeted towards the health assessment. So the club health assessment, and part of that would be then to look at what kind of issues you see in the health assessment, what to look for, and then some strategies to to try to correct it. We just had somebody join. Who's this?
I believe it's me.
It is me. I don't know what happened. It all of a sudden went quiet.
Okay, so you got kicked. I thought I got kicked off a minute ago, because it looked like you were still on, and then all of a sudden you weren't on.
As soon as I saw you off, I was getting to my phone to text you to say, B, join us again. We want you back.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Oh, I was going to try and come back. That wasn't an issue.
Yeah, we didn't.
But I had to try twice.
Right. So, one of the things, and I guess I'm going to ask B, one of the things we talked about the last time. So a couple of things we talked about the last time was, how to navigating through my LCI and LCI. And so I have that in the background. I have Lions Club International in the background. And if we want to go into that and see like where the online training parts are, or anything else that you'd want to look at or try to find. I know that was a question that came up, and a couple of the links that I sent through were the one about new member kits, where to get new member kits, and where to get membership information, which are two separate areas. And that's where you run into problems with these guys, is that there's all sorts of information, but sometimes it's hard to know where to go to get it and who has it. Like a new club is a whole different category than membership. That's a new club development area. And so those guys aren't really, I mean, yes, they're connected to membership, but they're not the same group. So, when you're talking to new club development, then you're talking to a different set of people than you are when you're working with the membership folks. So just so you know that. But anyway, I guess before we start, are there questions? Well, I guess so that before I said that, I started to talk to address a question that we also talked about, which was accessibility. And my question for B is, being a blind person, can you see through your screen reading technology those club health assessments?
Not really.
I know they're PDF.
If you try to read, yeah, it's not that I can't read it. It's that I find myself half the time going, what the hell is this thing? Because it comes across as gobbledygook.
It's a bunch of numbers, that's for sure. Lines and numbers and colors, and so where there's a concern, it'll be highlighted in red. And so that's a question, does a screen reader determine colors, or indicate to you
Nope.
colors of something that might be a concern?
You
just have to know, you'd have to know the numbers thresholds to know what the issue is. Because like on club size, and I have one pulled up if anybody wants to look at it. And it's the current one that just came out, and it's got all the clubs on it. You guys will see your clubs, your specific clubs that you are responsible for. The one I get actually has all the clubs.
Well, I kind of concentrate on the last 3 columns, whether or not they're reporting their membership, if they have an account balance and where it's at, and have they donated to LCI in the current fiscal year. The rest of the stuff, it's interesting, but it's less important to me than if they're reporting their membership, if they have an outstanding balance, and that's only with LCI. But what I found is if they have an LCI, if they have a Lions Club International dues balance, they typically also have a district dues balance.
Right.
And then whether or not they've given to LCI. And so I have 2 clubs. I've got one that I have to talk about dues, and I've got one that's not doing their reports on a regular basis.
I had a hard time when I was a zone chair. I had a hard time distinguishing between those reports that they keep track of, and the one that's called the MMR.
That's the membership one.
That's the membership. And so when a secretary goes in, all they have to do is go in and say no changes.
Right.
They've added members or they've subtracted.
It's a pretty low bar because as president, I'm going in and I'm doing it every month. My flag to do it every month for my club is the day I get this report. I do it for that month.
Right.
I mean, that's an easy reminder. They generate it from this, so I'm going to report.
Right. And like I said, and then the other one was reporting service, which is obviously the MyLion reporting for service projects and that sort of thing, which we've actually offered. We offer a training class on that every year, and it's one of those things that still remains kind of a mystery for a lot of people, and that's why they keep hammering on that, because that's one of DG Annette's goals is that clubs be, or is that the district be 100% service reporting. And
She said they're at that today when she came to our club.
okay, good. And really all it boils down to is if you report one service project in a year, you
Yeah.
hit that bar. So like Anita, you say it's a pretty low bar. It really is kind of a low bar to even get to that. So.
Well, and the thing about it is they are doing service projects.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
just failing to report.
Right. Oh yeah. It's not that
And
people
so
aren't doing something.
we need part 2 service project is you report. And maybe that's the way we start explaining it. You do your project and the final thing you do is you report your hours.
Yep.
You're not done with your project until you report your hours.
Right. And that's, I don't know why it's a difficult concept for, I mean, I can see that if a club in total isn't computer savvy, that it would never happen. But usually there's one person in a club that knows how to run a computer and could actually do that. And so, if a club isn't doing it, then the question needs to be, are they, do you have an administrator? If your secretary doesn't have time to do that, do you have an administrator or do you have a service chair who could do those things? Because those folks have specific, and the president actually can do it as well, but usually the president has enough going on that's a lot of extra burden. So, and if, like Mike, if you have clubs that aren't reporting, it's like we can help them, figure out how to do that. So, please be on the lookout for that.
Yep.
And ask questions.
Yep.
Ask questions of them, and say, hey, why aren't you reporting? And if not, why not?
That was going to be my topic for my next visit with my clubs was service reporting.
Yeah,
to make sure that each club has it set up, somebody to input it, and that all their service programs are recorded.
Right.
So that was going to be my talk on my next visit coming up.
And there's, they have, you may or may not have seen it. If you don't, I can send it to you. There is it's a pamphlet almost, but it's a flyer about service reporting, and what should you report and what do you not need to report, etc. So that's very helpful for people as well. Do you have that, Mike?
No, but if you'd email it over to me, I will have it then.
All right.
Or where to get to it.
We could look Go ahead, B.
I'm really fortunate in that I have our club administrator was the guy who was secretary for years and years and years.
David?
And yeah, I was like, Dave, you don't mind? He's like, no, I don't mind doing that part of the job. He said, I just don't want to do the minutes. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll do the minutes.
So I can send that to everybody. Maybe some of you already have seen that. And I'll be honest, that was a big point of controversy in our club. We had a subgroup meeting to determine how we were going to do service reporting, and actually reported to the board of directors what the recommendations were, and we still had a hard time deciding, exactly how to do it. And so it's, the easy way is if you have a project and you have 10 people that participate, and then you say, okay, this was the project. This is when we did it. How many Lions participated? X number. How many non-Lions? This is how many. And then you go, boom. Where it gets a little difficult is that we have a lot of people that do other service. Like it's all related to Lions, but it's like maybe 2 or 3 people here working at a food pantry, or I went and got the kid side trailer, or those sorts of things. And so it's the onesies and twosies that are difficult to report, because then you have to say, okay, what's the category, et cetera, et cetera. And that's where it becomes a little bit difficult. But And then the other thing, Mike, to remember and to remind the clubs is that every meeting that they have is service. So if you have 2 meetings a month and you have X number of people attend those meetings, you could just put them in. And we've had Dave Hill do that for a number of clubs last year because they were very low on their percentage of service reporting. And so he actually went through. Dave Hill can do it for anybody. He can do it for any club. And he actually went through and he figured out how many meetings each club had, and he kind of estimated the number of Lions and just put those things in, and that got their percentage up. So
Wow.
there's ways to skin the cat, but that's an easy one. And and then any preparation you do. So if you have a meeting to plan a parade, that counts as service. So there's many ways to count service, and report it. And of course, it's all about the numbers. LCI wants to be able to say that we do this much service, and where it falls down is a lot of clubs say, well, screw LCI, I want to do my service, and I really don't care about them, and so it's kind of our job is the liaisons with the district to kind of promote that, and say, hey, it's it gives us a good name, it helps recognition, it helps in recruiting, and all those things. It all wraps together. So by the way, I'm wearing my hat tonight because I have a very annoying gleam on the top of my head from my overhead light. So sparing you guys, or sparing me the, you guys giving me a hard time about putting your sunglasses on or something, I decided to wear a hat. So let's see. So I'm wondering if, so the other thing that I would like to emphasize is training. And that's, of course, that's my role, I guess, as far as the district goes, is the leadership team coordinator. So I was submitting an article with Kathy today for the newsletter, and District Governor Annette has, I looked it up, and she has a goal that 80% of our club leaders, like the president, secretary, treasurer, lion tamer, all those jobs, 80% of those folks are trained, have gone through some sort of training. And of course, when we did our spring training, we actually had a good turnout. But when you count the number of people that are in our district, that amounts to about maybe 25% of the people in our district. So I'm trying to encourage folks to look at doing online training, which there are, essentially there's a class for just about every, there's a class for just about every job in Lions, through members, but mainly they concentrate on the top 3 or 4. And that's a hard thing to find, actually. So I'm gonna share my screen, and hopefully I can get into LCI. And see if we can do this. I don't know if I need any video clips here, but so can you all see?
A join, donate.
Oops, what'd I do with it? Darn it.
I can't, Roger, but that's okay.
I know you can't, but let me see. Where's my, well, I'm going to try to get this back into the picture here.
It's missing 1.5 up there.
So
Okay.
So you can see the foundation with the heart and all that.
Right.
So
Yes.
let me see if I can. I'm trying to get to the sign in.
The joys of computers.
Oh yeah, member login. Well, the problem is it's competing with the
With the zone, it's got that zone bracket right there and it won't.
right. So here we go. So B, did you ever get a login? I know we've talked about this.
Not yet.
You should have your administrator help you get that established if you think you need it. I mean, I guess if you've got an administrator that can do these sorts of things, then you probably don't necessarily need to do it. But so you can see, well, so in my
I
line,
want to wait until the update happens.
yeah,
Ah.
go ahead. Did
If
they
it
say anything,
happens.
Jim? Did they say anything about that at the training?
Update now.
The new portal?
Nope. I was gonna ask that question too, and then they kept going on, and last I heard, the new portal was gonna be January, but
January, right? Yeah. Jesse Bollinger, who is part of the Clear Lake Lions Club, is actually on the beta testing team for that. And so I'm kind of looking to him for some updates when he gets involved. But it sounds like nothing much has happened with it yet from his perspective.
did you see his, did you see Jesse's video he did with Leader Dog for the Blind on their,
I'm sorry, say that again.
did you see Jesse's video he did with Leader Dog for the Blind they put out on their blog site that they have over there?
I don't think I did. Was he in it?
It was through Leader Dog for the Blind. They have a podcast, and I wrote it down somewhere, but out, and so I found, I just stumbled across it. I think he was somewhere in there, but it's a podcast that comes through Leader Dog, and he spoke with them for a few minutes. Now, when you get into it, the first 2 minutes doesn't deal with somebody else. Then you talk to him for like 20 minutes. He talks for 20 minutes, but it talks about Leader Dog and how he got into all this. There's a lot of it's some of his personal information. It was a very good.
Okay. But we should try to find that and share it on the Lions of Michigan website.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, so he doesn't. It's like Jesse's actually on the board of directors, I think, of Leader Dog, and and he doesn't crow about it too much, but he's pretty involved with those guys. So what I've got, so this is the dashboard. Let's see, somebody's coming in. Not sure who that was. I can't see the list now.
I think B just come back in.
Oh, okay. Oh, she must have just popped out.
She disappeared for
No,
a
I'm
minute.
still here.
Okay.
Still there? Okay.
Did somebody else join?
James is down twice on my page.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't
Jim
see
on
any-
one and James on the other.
Okay, maybe he's on his computer as well or something.
Yeah.
That happens. So B, for your benefit, what I'm looking at is the dashboard. It's called the member portal, and you've got 5 boxes across the top of this, 5 icons across the top of the screen. And it's one of them is My Lion, which is where they do the service reporting. The next one is My LCI, which is where you would enter your member data and any kind of address changes or anything like that having to do with membership of the club. That's where that goes. There's one called Insights, which is sort of a database that keeps track of everything Lions. So it's interesting because I can go into that and I can filter down to our district, and we can, I can see who's been trained and not individual members, but how many people have been trained, in this year and last year. And so they give you bar graphs. So it's kind of a statistical insight as to what's happening, thus the name, I guess, to what's happening with the Lions. And actually you can see it, you can compare yourself to the world. So last year when I was doing this, we had about 20% of our membership was trained, and that was about the same as the average around the world. So we weren't better, we weren't worse, but we were kind of in there. So then the next one is called Learn. Okay, so the next icon is called Learn, and then the last one is Shop, and I clicked on the Learn one, and I'll try to describe this as I go through it. So the page that comes up, it says Learn, Lead, and Grow. And there are online, then you have online training, Lions Learning Center, and international institutes. So the international institutes are like the, not so much the Canadian, USA, Canada, but it's like the Advanced Leadership Institute. I forget what they call it. Actually, the one in Higgins Lake was actually being referred to as a Regional Lions Leadership Institute. So it's it's sanctioned by the international body, with the instructors and all that sort of stuff. And so it's a higher level of recognition, I guess, in terms of your training. So the Lions Learning Center is the one that we would probably suggest people go to. And this is where I can actually put training in that people could see if they were to go to this website or go to this page. If somebody was interested in learning what kind of training was available to you in the district. So this is my page, okay, the one that you're seeing. And what I'm going to do is on the left-hand side is our different categories. One's called Home, which is kind of where we are. There's a content library, achievements, messages, and collapse menu. So I'm going to go to content library. And like I say, Michael, if any of your clubs, if any of your clubs, feel like they need training, I can do this with them. I can do that with them one-on-one if they would like to. They can do it on their own, or I can help them get to it. So now what pops up when you go to the content library are all the classes that are available. And so they have them classified in a couple of different ways. So the first one on the list is Club Membership Chairperson Learning Path. And these are kind of separated into a learning path and just a general training session. I'm going through this kind of fast to see what we have. Okay, so the learning path has kind of so it'll say, okay, here are the courses that you should take if you're a club membership chairperson learning path. And so I'm going to just click on this real quick, and this is what a person would see. So, and what this does, what these classes do online are keep track of your progress. And once you've completed a class, you'll be credited through LCI with having taken the class and passed it. I think there's probably a little quiz at the end. So the different modules in this are, I guess they've got coursework changes, introduction and overview, a comprehensive look at the 4 steps of inviting new members. And then there's a whole section on membership satisfaction. There's a section on conflict resolution, common causes of conflict, conflict management approaches, conflict management survey, choosing the right approach, and collaborative approach and course survey. So then they get into global membership approach orientation. So the global membership approach is sort of what LCI has been pushing for the last couple of years, and it's a prescriptive, basically a guideline for how to recruit more members. And there's a class about it, so you can learn about it. So there's quite a bit when you go through the learning path. There's a whole bunch of things you can do. And if you on this last one these are all optional: meeting management, how to prepare for a meeting, Robert's Rules of Order, facilitating discussions, Then there's one on succession planning, which is identify potential leaders and plan leadership development, plan and prepare for a successful transition. So it's quite comprehensive. And I think to be a club membership chair, you wouldn't necessarily have to take this whole thing, because as we come down the list, so there's a club president learning path, club secretary learning path, club treasurer. There's one for council chairperson. So maybe Kelly might have taken this because she'd like to be a council chair. A global extension team coordinator. So a global extension team is kind of a new thing that they have, which is how to go out and start new clubs. This is all about starting new clubs. The Leo Club Program Learning Path, Leo to Lion. And then you've got some other, so these are some more courses. Action planning to achieve district goals. So that could be something that's useful to the zone chairs. Introduction to LLC, the heck, Lions Leadership Center. Beyond Leos. Okay, now we're into more targeted classes for each officer. So this one now is club officer training. And there's a club president responsibilities, club secretary responsibilities, and club treasurer. So there's a coaching, then it gets into coaching, communication skills, conflict resolution, decision making, like delegation, effective learning, effective teams. And I think that's where it ends. So like if we were to go to the club president responsibilities, we'll click on course here. And again, you get what it shows is it shows a banner at the top that says club president responsibilities, and it looks like it's gotten pretty good reviews. It's got a 4.5-star review, and then it's got a percentage. So you can start the course with this red button here. And B, these are supposed to be accessible. I don't know how accessible they are, but they're supposed to be accessible according to the
I'll check it out.
but you have to have for yourself, you would need to have an LCI login.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
so the basically what the topics on this training module are, it's introduction, okay, presiding over meetings, regular and special meetings, what would you do, committees, elections, the district governor advisory committee, so that's the zone chairs. That's because the presidents and the secretaries are part of the district governor advisory committee. And that is the group of people who get invited to a zone meeting to report on their club's activities and get updates on activities for the district and that sort of thing. Messages from the governor. Usually there's a speaker of some sort. And then what would you do? Another what would you do? Succession planning, summary, and knowledge check. That knowledge check is the thing that gives you the credit for taking the class. And so once you do this, then you would become a statistic for the in the learn insights, or in the insights module. So I'm going to click out of that. Let's see if we get back to the home page. See if my computer will cooperate. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. What are your thoughts on that? Have any of you ever tried to go into that at all?
No, that was new for me. I know that.
All right. Well,
I've been to some of that.
Well, that's just one area of training that people can take, but that's the one area where you also automatically get credit through LCI for being trained if you take one of those modules like that. And so, when people say, "Oh, I don't know, I don't want to be president because it's too much work, it's a lot of responsibility that I don't know how I would do it, or I wouldn't be any good." Um, Taking some sort of training can be helpful, to at least let you know what it is you should be doing. Um, and I know that there probably are some clubs. I know that there are clubs that if they get a new member in, they automatically become the vice president. And so when
That to me,
usually they quit before their time of being a president comes up the next year. So we've tried to discourage clubs from just automatically putting a new member in as an officer before they even really know what's going on with the Lions Club. So
in the case of Hanover Horton, unfortunately, just about all of our active members have been in a position for 3 years, 3 times or more. Brian's on his 4th time being president now.
that's really hard, and that's one of those things on the assessment that will tell you if a club has had multiple reportings of see if I can find it. And I don't know if I'll be able to find it or not. I thought I had it up, but I'm not seeing it. But anyway, and there's a section, and probably in those last 3 or 4 columns of the assessment that will indicate if a club has multiple reportings of officers. So like the president might have a listing of, like 2 or 3 because it's their 2nd or 3rd year. We had one club, the Bedford Club in our area. Actually, they're getting some new members, which is a delight. They've really made a push to try to get some new members. They were a club that had a Lioness Club attached, and their Lioness Club just, they made the decision to go ahead and join the men's Lions Club, which was controversial, and they lost some people, but they're running about maybe 16, 17, 18. I can't remember exactly how many they have now, but their president has done an excellent job. She was from the Lioness Club. The men's club, they were down to about 5 or 6 active members, and so nobody wanted to be president. So to solve that problem, they assigned one person to be the president. If you want to call him a token president. But anyway, so they'd have a name to put in the box, and then they shared the responsibility of conducting the meeting, because generally all of them had experience doing that, but they didn't want to just keep doing it. The same guy didn't want to keep doing it. So they would take turns officiating the meeting, and all of their decisions are decided by their board anyway. So it wasn't like one person had to make all the decisions. They all were making decisions for the club, but it was just the officiating. And so, if somebody's not willing to be the president, that can kill a club. I mean, if you don't have those, you got to have at least 2 officers. I think, I'm not sure what the absolute minimum is, but you need to have at least 2 officers, and so that that helped them before they had the merge, sort of like Survivor. They had the merge, and so they're functioning pretty well right now. So, but a lot of the smaller clubs have that problem, and I know there's a lot of discussion about how do you revitalize a club, do you start a new club, and I think they're having that conversation over in Ypsilanti right now. And I don't know well, I don't think they have a zone chair over there exactly now. Yeah, in that area, we don't have a zone chair. So, I think Annette's basically working on that, and Cheryl Bradshaw are working on that. I think they want to try to start a Quest Southeast Jackson type club over there. That's what I've heard anyway. But there is the Huron Valley Sunrise, I think, is an Ypsilanti club, and I know they're very small, and so I'm not sure what's happening with those guys, but you know, it can be hard, and recruiting is kind of what it's about. And how do you recruit members? Usually it's you have service projects that you kind of get people excited about, let them participate and see what Lions are all about. It's as simple as that, but it's as hard as that too. So yeah, most of you probably would agree. So what else can we do? We got about 15 minutes left before it's 8 o'clock. Are there some other things that I could do, like within LCI, that might be helpful? I can go back to sharing my screen and whatever happened with this anyway. Oh, we were here at this one, so get back to LCI. I've been having trouble with my computer. I think it's about ready to die. Go to exit. See if that works. Here we go. So at least you can kind of see what it's about. Let's see. Let's go back to. Let's get out of this. No, still doesn't.
When you're back on the club president module, I don't think you can come out of that.
Yeah, you have to complete the training now, Roger. You
Right. Yeah, I know.
you selected it. You got to go through it.
Well, let me see if I can get back to. Yeah, I lost. I think I lost my LCI window as well. Let's see. One of the things that we talked about the last time was. Let's see. Well, here's the club health assessment. Can you guys see that? I know you can't be. So anyway, so this is the district one, the current district one, and
all we see is you.
what's that? Oh,
As of right now, just seeing people's faces, I'm not seeing that.
okay. Hang on. Let me.
Cuss at his computer, you know.
Try this. How's that?
Okay, now it's up.
Yep. So this one, this is kind of the club health assessment. It's a couple of pages long. So the red, for those, for the seeing eye folks here, in the club,
15 members.
the club size here, you have, and so if you're less than 15, you're in the red. But many clubs function very well in that range. And so, it's, we don't like to air everybody's dirty laundry, but that's the reality of things. So over here, it's like months since last MMR. So the host club, their secretary does not use a computer at all, and they do have an administrator, and so I don't know if she knows exactly how to do this. So it might be worth talking to her and say, hey, do you know how to do the MMR? But at least it's not 15 months like one of the clubs here.
Adrian Evening
hasn't reported their MMR for 15 months. So, but there's not really a, that doesn't really, it's one of those things that says, okay, well, what's going on, and we've got a couple of clubs that this is kind of surprising me a little bit. That on the account balance 90 plus days, that means they haven't paid their dues. And then down at the bottom, you have canceled clubs. So we had Munith and Tecumseh, which both went out of business. And unfortunately, I think the Parma Spring is kind of on the ropes as well.
Yes, they are trying to
Dissolve.
quit. Yes.
So what, one of the strategies that district governors use sometimes is that if a club, and this happened with Chelsea, instead of, and and I can't remember the term, but they kind of, they don't retire the charter, but they put it in limbo. And so then they can keep the charter active. But if they wanted to start a new club, or if somebody wanted to start a new club, they could do that within that same charter. I don't know all the ins and outs about that, but that's just kind of what I've heard. So rather than just let a club just, turn in the charter, mail it back to LCI or whatever they do, a district governor likes to kind of be involved and say, well, hey, let's try to see if we can keep this thing going. So then there's some statistics all the way at the bottom. So like current club count is 41. Total members, current total member count is 905. Year-to-date drops are 21, adds are 21, and drops are 31. So a net growth is -10. So when Annette says, well, we're -9 or -10, that's the number that she's reporting from. 12 months ago, we were at 981. Average count per club is 22. Percent of clubs with less than 20 members is 56%. No MMR in 3 months is 41%. No officer report in 12 months is 5%, probably not too bad. Percent of clubs with a 90-day balance is 5%. Number of clubs in status quo is 0. So status clubs means that they're so far behind that they are put on suspension. And so then, that's when people start getting concerned about, are you going to be a club or are you not? What's the status? So there in the email that you get, and I just pulled this up because I saved it in my hard drive, but in the email that you get, there is a link to, if you look at your clubs and you see that there are issues, there's a link that takes you to some strategies to help improve, the numbers. And I think if I go to my email, I find that, which I don't think is up anymore either. So I'm not gonna worry about that at this point. But anyway, so all of you would have received your report probably by now. And in that email, if you go back to it, there's a link that says, here are some strategies to help. And so what you get is a table, and it has, okay, here's the issue. This could be the problem, and here's how to fix it. And in the second half of the training that I emailed out early on, that's kind of what we go through is, really targeting in on some of those columns, where you've got issues, and then strategies to try to help improve the situation. So those are quite helpful actually. And I didn't really see that ever until I was probably the second year of my being a zone chair is when I really started to discover a lot of that stuff. And so it's like I say, we don't always do the best job of teaching everything that everybody needs to know, but there is so much to know, or there can be a lot to know that, if you got it all at once, it's like drinking out of a fire hose, and nobody likes to do that. And so sometimes it's better just to get sort of the basics, and then, as you progress, to learn more. And so that's kind of what I like to do with these calls. And like I say, Anita, you've been a zone chair for a couple of years now, and Mike's just starting out. B's been a zone chair now twice. This is your second year, and Jim, maybe you too.
Second year.
So all of your experiences, will help the new folks as they come in, and we can help each other. But that's kind of what my goal is to, since we didn't have a specific zone share training this year, is try to do whatever I can to give you guys the resources and like I say, offer one-on-one. If we needed to go through something one-on-one, I'd be happy to do that. And I'm not sure. I'm going to say, Debbie, hi, since you're going to be listening to this at some point, and that I hope you had a chance to look through some of the materials I'd sent to you, and hopefully it'll help some of your questions. But if you need help, I'm glad to work with you one-on-one for anything that you need. So anyway, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight. What other questions do you guys have, or concerns, or anything that we could, as a group, figure out how to address?
I mean, I just appreciate getting any information that I am, and like you say, not getting flooded with everything too.
Right.
And learning what I can do with each thing that I'm gaining.
Yep. And so, Jim, tell us how the training was in our last few minutes.
It's fun. You meet new people and you go through the rigmarole of learning all different stuff. Maybe the most scariest part when the impromptu 2-minute speech,
Oh.
But ask Scott about that one. He got the worst question.
Oh, geez.
Anyways, you learn conflict resolution, how to, and today we learned how to start arranging a project, which formula to do it in. We were raising money. They were selling kind of like raffle tickets for $10 to raise money for LCIF, and somewhere along the line, one of the guys that was facilitating the FDI out of town, Jason, I forget what his name is, said he'd dive into the lake in his underwear if he got $1,000. So then Gary Anderson said, "Okay, I'll do it if you do hit $1,500." Then I'll do it for me get $1,000. So last night at dinner, they had 480. Next thing you know, they had like 900 and something. Like someone paid some big money yesterday for this.
So this all happened
before they got all done. They got over $1,000. So right after we got done with our training, and I missed it because Kelly wanted a picture of Scott, Hope, and me, and I took it. And by the time I got out there, someone said, "I just heard the crowd yelling," so I missed it because I went right to the lake, and Gary was doing our last bit, our thing. He had so 3 people went in that lake. Wouldn't be me, but we got over $1,000 for LCIF. So
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I mean, I had fun there when I went. And did Jenny tell jokes, or Youper jokes?
A few of them, one of the gals, it might have been Karen or whatever, was talking. They were at the fire chat the first day and talking in her accent from where her family was, and like this thing and that thing. And I think Karen this is her last year of doing this. She was retiring, But she says she's like 78, 9,
Right.
But
Karen Routson, right? That's,
I think so.
Actually, I thought
that.
Go ahead.
One of the better ones was, what was his name? Rock somebody. He's the best. He was a lawyer, but he's been governor. He claimed he's been governor twice. I'm trying to figure out how you can do that unless he did it in 2 different zones. But
well, you used to be able to do it twice. Till this year, you could do it twice.
Maybe he's done that.
This year they cut it off.
But he talked about he uses all his lawyer stuff in there, how he sit there and he can read people and how you read people, and everybody liked him, you know.
Well, I think they've changed the curriculum over the last couple of years, and they've got some new instructors in, and so I think it's a lot. That was a time to do it because they had some guys that were getting kind of, you know,
Too old fashioned.
long in the tooth, so to speak. So
And tedious, yes.
And
Kelly said everything has changed. Jenny Ware is now in charge of it. And
She did a good
it
job,
has-
you know.
everything was different than when Kelly and I went there a couple of
Yeah.
years ago.
right, and
It-
it probably was the same for you guys as it was for me when I
Yes.
was 4 years prior to that. So,
Yes, and there were people that made suggestions when B was there, and it was the same.
Yeah.
When Kelly and I were there.
Yep.
It was.
Oh, you mean the Tinker Toy thing?
Yes.
We did that too.
They need to take that exercise completely out.
They're talking about maybe doing a different exercise that's not the Tinker Toys, but you know, they still did it. They
Well,
claimed that our class did the best that they ever seen, so they said, but who knows, they might tell that to everybody, but you know.
yeah.
Well, for a blind
one
person,
group,
that's
one
ludicrous.
group did it in record time.
Yeah, you're right, B. For a blind person, that would be totally not feasible.
Yeah.
So
It's
Well,
useless.
it was just. It might have seemed like a reasonable thing to do, but I was offended by it. And if I had been B, I would have been even more offended by it.
it's sort of like Survivor when they have to put a puzzle together, but yeah, so I think feedback like that is good, B, and I don't know if you gave that to them. I'm sure you probably gave it to them.
Oh, I did.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll start listening, and hopefully they'll start
That was
more attentive to the community that we're trying to help, which is the blind and visually impaired community. That's that would be a nice thing if LCI was more attentive to that. So well, anyway, so we've spent an hour here, and hopefully some of this has been helpful. Are there any? So Michael, I've got written down. I'm going to send him the flyer about service reporting. Are there any other things that are burning in your mind that you'd like to get more information about that I can help with?
No.
Okay,
Roger, you are the person who would be able to answer this question, but do we offer service reporting training at our leadership training?
Yep. Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, to be honest with you, I've never signed up for it because I haven't.
Had to do it, right?
Well, no, there's been other classes that I could attend, so I
Okay.
attended those
Right.
instead.
Sure. Or taught, as it were,
But
Sure.
I think that we might, the service reporting class cannot just be point and click on the computer. It needs to be written out step by step, that it can be handed out, that anybody who attends the class can then take those handouts, make copies of them, or scan them and send them to each of their clubs that
Yeah.
are not reporting.
Let me. We may have something like that already,
Okay.
because like I say, we've offered it a couple of different times. One year, the recordings we have aren't the best because our recording technology is quite variable, and so while it's a good idea, we're not professionals, and so we try our best, but we don't always get it right. So some of our recordings of the trainings we've done are better than others, and some are downright laughable. But the content in them can be shared, And so Brent Barassi from C2, Lansing area, whatever, he taught one year, and he did a very nice job. And I know he has a deck that we used, and that might be useful
Right,
to share with people. So if I don't have it, I will contact him and get it. So,
because I think the people who are struggling to report need the step-by-step directions on paper.
right.
And
Well,
if you email it to them, they're going to print it out. So it's right next to them when they try it.
Right. Now my wife, actually, I'm for the next one, I think I'm gonna try to conscript my wife to be one of the trainers, because like I say, we've kind of struggled with this a bit, and I know that she worked with Jesse Bollinger on Zoom one day, and was able to help him get through, how to do it. And he has some sight, so he can, he's not totally blind, but he was able to kind of pick it up and understand what was happening with it. So she's pretty good at that. So I may have her think about doing the class next year.
I think he would be excellent at it.
When we had the class, she knew more about it than the instructor did, I think. So, anyway, that isn't always helpful for the instructor.
That sounds like a class I
Well,
took in college.
That means that she needs to be our instructor this year for test.
Right.
Yes, my question is do you need any of us to do any of the training? Besides publicizing the leadership training, do you need any of us to do any of the training or do any of the facilitating or being a room monitor or anything? Because, we're your crew. We can help.
Yeah, I would love that. Whoever is comfortable doing stuff like that. So
I
you've done it.
Assume it's still at Vandercook?
Pardon?
It's still at the Vandercook High School?
Yes, so it's close.
It'll be there. It's going to be the fourth Thursday of the month in April. The 25th, I think, is what it is, or something like that.
Which it will be after our district convention.
Right. It'll be after the convention, and it won't conflict with Dexter's club meeting. I was given an earful by the Dexter Club, because not really realizing that they met on that night. We've scheduled our district training the last 2 years on one of their club meeting nights, and apparently they can't skip a meeting to go to training. So
or reschedule or decide to have a Saturday morning coffee meeting
or something. So anyway, hey, that's, I'm not gonna argue with him about it. But it's just like I wasn't really aware of it, and I was told, well, we've always done it this way, and so I made sure I found out when the district convention was going to be, and because we don't like to schedule that training like real close to the district convention. That's why we try to move it out a little bit if we can, just so we're not all just like doing the convention and then all of a sudden we're doing the training. So this will be a nice gap, because I think it's the first weekend of April that DG Kelly or Annette is going to have her convention. That's what I understand.
Have you thought about doing a commercial during the district, doing a commercial for the district training at the district convention?
I'll think about that. I got to make a note here real quick. So service reporting.
Because there's always some, there's always some lull time there, and it might be, if you have a commercial prepared for the district training that's coming up.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And if you wanted to link it to some of the things that were at the fall conference, you could say, and there'll be cookies.
We have cookies.
Yes,
We can get some of those cookies that most people didn't get actually, but
yes, that would be a clever thing to do. And the fact that they were individually wrapped meant that people could take them home or eat them on their way home.
Yep.
From the training.
Yeah.
I tried it and I made a mess.
They were good. They were
you were
very
sick.
good.
You were sick, Jim. At our
No,
last training.
I'm talking about the cookies from
The smiley
from
line
the,
cookies, right?
the
Yeah.
fall conference, you know,
Yes.
They were good. They were good. I was so
last year. Oh, yeah. Yeah, last year, don't remind me I was sick, you know.
okay. Yeah, you were sick. Sick.
I'm gonna say two of the things they brought up at the training there was clubs need to start getting more into technology because you know there's clubs are starting to use the Venmo and other things associated like it, you know, and they have to come up to modern times. Although you've got a lot of older clubs, that's going to be really hard to do
Right.
because a lot of them doesn't know how to even do any of that. Yeah.
One thing that I've suggested to each of my clubs is get a debit card. Get a debit card for each account that you have,
Oh.
for your activity account and your administrative account. I pay our dues by debit card, you know, our Lions Club International dues. Now I write a check to the district because they charge a fee, but International does not. So I pay those with a debit card. And so those go in very quickly.
Mhm.
But with clubs that have, you know, that don't seem to be able to write a check or don't seem to be able to write a check, I say get a debit card.
Right.
It will make your life easier.
And it's pretty easy. I mean, if you
Yes.
have a bank account, you can certainly get a debit card. So,
Right.
um, so yeah, that's a good suggestion.
You know, and that's a first step. And then start doing your banking. If they charge you a fee for a statement, start doing your banking online.
Right. Well,
You know,
and that's another thing, another technology thing, but it kind of forces you if you don't want to pay $5 a month. I couldn't believe,
right.
you know, my bank charges for a business account. It was $5 a month for a statement, and that's crazy. So
Right. And you can print them if you need a hard copy of that statement, you can print them out online, you know, from online.
right. So Jim, what was the suggestion to get more clubs involved in technology? Did they have one?
That's just what they were saying that, you
It's a
know,
statement of fact, right?
statement of fact. Then they said something else that I don't think B is going to like, but has to do with the prayer. It says you need to stop using the name Jesus in the prayer because there's so many other religions besides what we're used to. And they're starting to find out some people have become offended by that because they don't believe in that part.
Right.
It says it's not going to make some clubs happy because even some people there were, it's like, you know, we don't want to do that because we're all Christian, but it says, you know, that's what they're suggesting. It's like, I know B won't be happy with me saying that, but that's what they said. So, you know.
Well, it's kind of in the, I mean, you'll read that in LCI stuff is that it should be a non-denominational kind of a, you know,
You can use the word God and Lord and all that kind of stuff. Just don't use the name Jesus, you know.
right. Yep.
And on another point, I posted the thing about Jesse's speech on the district close page.
Uh-huh.
You click on the picture or whatever and bring
Okay.
up the article. And in the article, there's a link to the podcast.
Okay, good.
Like I said, it's about 2 or so minutes into the podcast before they start talking to him. So, you know.
Okay. All right, great. I'm surprised he hasn't put it on. Well, they have a website, and I'm not sure if it's on there.
You must have a post. I don't know if it's on their website, but
They have a website and a Facebook page.
because when I found it, we started emailing back and forth between, you know, me, B, and Jesse about our thing. And I emailed Jesse back. I just saw your video online. She said he just heard it drop, you know. So I must have caught it right away, you know.
You're on the ball, Jim. Well, hey, it's 8:15. And I don't want to keep you guys. So if there's no other questions, we can adjourn.
Yeah, someone in this group might have had a long 3 days, you know.
Yeah,
You've
I
been
know.
there, you know what I mean?
Go to bed. You might need to get some
Yes.
sleep. So anyway,
Especially,
thank
especially
you
after
all.
sleeping in those beds.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, well,
Ugh.
well, thank you all for coming in, and and Jim, I guess I didn't even know you guys were having a zone meeting because I told Greg Brendenmauer I would go to his zone meeting, which is also the night of yours on the
I
night.
saw that. Yeah, I seen you.
And but anyway, good luck, and hope you have a good turnout. And
Well, Jim and B knows I'm gonna be there, but Jim, I'm gonna be there and I'm bringing cake. And we evaluated the cake recipe on Saturday at the service project.
Ah,
B said, I want this one, so we're having that again,
All right.
except chocolate,
okay,
because Kelly Luby's gonna be there as well.
there you go.
She's gonna be a little bit late because she has to come from work, but she said she'll
Yeah.
be there, you know.
Yes, she's gonna be there about 10 after 6.
What's your topic? What are you guys doing?
The executive director of the Habitat for Humanity
Okay,
will be speaking. And
Okay.
she got to do it right away because can't be there much past 7. Then we can do some other stuff after that, you know. But
okay. Well, if anything comes out that you need my help with, let me know. And so anyway, well, thank you.
we're serving pizza, but you know.
Wow.
Yes, pizza and cake.
Well, I get to go to Basil Boys, which I've never been to Basil Boys down in wherever that is.
Well, that'll be fun then.
So yeah. So I haven't met. I don't know a lot of people down in that area, that part of the district. So that was one of the reasons I kind of wanted to go. So anyway, I will. Anyway, so we'll see you guys. And are you guys okay? I'm trying to think what the next, when we talked about having these meetings, we were talking about the first Monday.
It'll be the first Monday in December.
Which is, let's see, that would
That
be the 4th of December. So is that kind of fit?
I'm good with that date.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just keep
Works.
it that way. And if we want to, I mean, we had a meeting when Kelly was, or actually when Terry was DG, she had a meeting every Sunday night with a group. And that's where we came up with all the stuff for the Tail Twister book. And, you know, we did several things as a group on that. And we were supposed to be learning about membership, but I'm not sure how much we did, but we developed a couple of different resources. But I think it's a nice idea to meet like this, just to have some conversation and answer questions and see what we can do to make our district the best it can be. So
Good.
you guys are doing a great job. I appreciate it. I'm sure, I know DG and Ed appreciates it. So
Everybody have a great night.
all right.
And say my
All right,
long week's
Roger.
not over yet.
All right.
I have club meeting Wednesday, zone Thursday. Cleaning up Clear Lake Camp on Saturday.
You're an animal, Jim.
Yeah, I tell you what,